Greetings, my friends. Peace to you and yours. I'm Luke Scott. Welcome to episode 2 of Thawt for Food. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you all from the bottom of our hearts here at Hybred Collective. The first episode is out. It's already over 100 views. This is 2 days later that we're recording this, so thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts for helping us push that and for contributing to this venture success. Let's keep pushing. Just a little note, if you or anyone you know is looking for opportunity to sponsor a venture, maybe just get a little bit more karma in their lives, or do a little advertising on a show, we're trying to make this thing a full-time job. So please hit us up, hybredco@gmail.com, and let's talk. If you got a few dollars to kick and contribute, go to patreon.com/Hybred Collective. We got 3 tiers available for everybody. $10 to get you tier 1, my CD, $25 to get you my CD, and a entry into the leftover showcase that we're doing. More about that in a future episode. And $40 to get you my CD, 2 entries, and a t-shirt. So again, that's patreon.com/Hybred Collective. We would truly appreciate it if you would help us out. Today, we have the pleasure of being at Breakfast King. We're down here off of Santa Fe in Mississippi, just a few blocks west of Broadway at Breakfast King. What a fantastic place it is, for sure. What an honor it is to be here. I've been coming to the King now for decades, it seems like. It's a 24-hour diner, so a lot of the boys and I, after hip-hop shows, will come here to decompress a little bit and have ourselves a giant plate of food. This place has that classic 70s diner movie feel, something straight out of a Tarantino flick. Seems like it should be a place that still has a smoking section. I guarantee you it doesn't. It just has that feel. I absolutely love the food and the vibe here. If you like stepping inside a time machine to sit down and have your meal, this is the place to be. Everybody here is so nice. I called here the other day to get permission to shoot here and was lucky enough to speak with the owner, Terry. And he was more than happy to help us use his location for this episode. And we couldn't be more grateful. I'm sure there's one of those places where if you took the time out to visit often, they would learn your name and make you a regular, make you feel like home. You're at home every time you venture through their door. It's places like this that kind of bring a certain flair to the community, a certain love to the community. So definitely come check this place out. I hear Denver's losing a lot of its classic diners because of development and shit, so it'd be a shame for you not to be at a place like this before that happened. Anyway, episode 2's conversation finds me joined by the 2 people I draw a little bit of inspiration off of when it comes to strategy and execution. My man Justin Romero at Bison Satellite, a brand strategy consulting he's been doing for 8 years now, and my man Steven DeLizio, his co-host on that podcast, or their co-host on the podcast, out there doing his thing in the real estate market, making things happen all over the Denver area. Every time the 3 of us get together and have conversations, it's full of wit and enlightenment, and I'm excited to bring this conversation to you guys. I hope you enjoy. Thank you all for tuning in. Peace and high power to you, my friends. And here's episode 2 of Thawt for Food. Yeah, nice. Yeah. You?
Just working at home. What's you doing?
That's the thing. Like, that's where I'm trying to get, is to work from home. I got up this morning, cooked a little breakfast, did a little yoga, got on my 2020 New Year, New Me shit. All right. Got ready for this episode. We've been here for the last hour kicking it. 2020
New Year, New You.
New Year. I'm on keto.
Wakes up when?
I'm on keto. What?
When do you wake up? When did you wake up?
I woke up today at 9:30. Or like 8:30 actually. Yeah. Okay. If that doesn't indicate a new me,
sure.
I don't know what does.
I
don't know what does. All right. So welcome. We're gonna jump right in to episode 2. Like I explained to you in the beginning, we are at the iconic Breakfast King. I'm with my man Justin Romero.
What up?
And my man Steven DeLizio, co-host of the Lone Ranger vs. Tonto podcast.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yep.
Hard-working gentlemen. Like I said, I appreciate you guys because you guys are actual inspirations to me for what I'm trying to do. The whole work from home life and make life happen. I mean, you know, I understand it doesn't have to be a glorious living, but it just has to be a sustainable one. Have you guys found that to be something that is over the course of the time, how has that been? Has it been rough? Has it been something you've expected more out of and only gotten something out of, or what's it look like?
Well, I don't really live a work from home life.
Oh, okay.
I have an office that I'm at probably 5-ish days a week.
Oh, okay. So
and
still,
just like, some circumstances do it. Like I can work from home when I need to or want to, which is super convenient, but I'm normally in the office every day so I can get that focus. It helps me, like, just being around the team, being around the group, focusing, and I couldn't work from home all the time.
No, that makes, honestly, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I get distracted a lot, too.
At home, I'd just be like sitting around smoking weed the whole time.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, I'm working, I'm sending emails and shit like that. Sending all these messages, like doing that, but
going down
at the office, I can be a little bit more focused, get the coffee in, and then there's a lot more resources in the office as well. So I appreciate that.
But if you could, if you did get your focus together, like, you do have the opportunity to work fully from home if you wanted to, if that's something that would appeal to you, or you just
Sure,
don't?
I could if I wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. What about you?
What about me? What? Working from home?
Working from home, working for your own interest.
Oh, this year it's been a decade.
Yes. I did know it's been quite a long time.
It's been a decade this
That
year.
part I
July.
didn't know. Yeah, for sure.
August.
Yeah, for sure. So is it everything you've expected it to be? Is it a bit more challenging than it has been fun, or where you at with that?
Oh yeah, you know what? You get about as much out of it as you put in.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you want to work, you'll work.
Yeah.
If you don't, you won't.
So the return is based off of how much.
Oh yeah,
you put
for
in.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's talk about something. Let's open it up. Anything that's been on your mind as of late? Anything you want to bring to the table? I know a lot of things going. I'm not a real big pop culture kind of guy, so we can't get too deep into.
You don't want to talk about the Royals leaving?
The Royals?
You guys hear
Like
about this?
Kansas City Royals?
Yes, no.
Oh, okay.
The Royal, like the British people, I don't really get into it.
Yeah.
But they make a big stink, I guess, too, of the people
Don't call them the
from.
Royals.
That's
Well, I mean, that's
that's not the
essentially-
people.
I'm an
That's not
American.
how I
They know
name
royalty
them.
over here.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
This is how I hear them referred to.
Right.
But two of them are leaving because one of them I think is she's like the daughter of somebody from Germany, some like high-ranking person, and then Meghan Merkel, and then she married.
Prince, whatever.
They're still
Prince.
doing that? Isn't
No,
this
they're out now. They're like,
medieval,
we're not doing this game. We're moving to
Yeah.
Canada,
That's what-
and we're
okay.
out of here. We're not playing your game.
That's
anymore.
what they said.
Uh-huh.
And then the queen was like, and then she came out and was like, okay, that's cool. We'll like agree with it, but there's gonna be like this transitioning period out.
Sure.
But
Interesting.
we know what transitioning period means. R.I.P. Princess Di.
Oh, yeah. You think that's where we're going? You think it's all propaganda?
What?
Yeah.
Merkel.
I
is
mean,
gonna get,
She's gonna get Merkel? Yeah.
gonna get Merkel.
They're gonna Merkel that chick, boy, I'll tell you.
Deadpool.
Megan.
The Merkel with the mouth it is. The German ambassador, right? Meghan Merkel, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Is she married to somebody in the royal family?
She's the princess.
Yeah, she's
is
now.
she?
She's
now
Princess
she's
Merkel.
The
That'd be
Duchess
Princess
of
Merkel.
Essex or Sussex. She's the Duchess
Oh,
of Sussex.
Sussex. Okay, got you.
That's
so
their
not
official
the German.
titles right
okay,
now.
I got you. I was thinking.
Well, no, the Prince Harry, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Prince
I call her
Harry
Andrew
are the
again.
Duke and Duchess of Sussex,
Gotcha.
and then they're leaving that life. I guess transitioning out of that life.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
the
so
most pop culture thing I've
you've
had on my
looked at
mind.
recently.
I guess is that
Fought
pop
a
culture?
war to avoid this bullshit. Wherever you're talking about it.
True. I
We
mean,
being
but
not
that's,
us.
I hear you,
But
and that's
with
why I
this
say
country.
I'm not big into pop culture. It is
crazy.
interesting. It is interesting. I mean, but these are still games that have been played for centuries now. You marry off one big family to another big family, and you control this section of the world supposedly.
Oh,
That's what it looks
They're
like.
gonna start
from
doing
the
that on
outside.
YouTube, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What, motherfuckers teaming up.
Oh yeah, they're
you're
gonna just start
have a
merging channels.
YouTube. What is
Making
it?
conglomerates.
Channel clash. Yeah, maybe. monopolizing, like,
Oh,
what two conglomerates on YouTube could possibly? Joe Rogan and who?
I was thinking more that kid that opens toys.
Opens doors.
Yeah.
He's the
Well, I guess
most.
there's a ton of,
he
like,
was the
accounts
most
like that,
paid
right?
YouTuber in 2019. Some ungodly amount of millions of dollars he was paid, and he opens toys. And then it's videos of him and his dad playing with them.
Holy fuck.
Have you ever
Who gets
watched
all that money?
Have you ever watched all the kids? You watch the kids.
Hopefully it's going to
people
his
are like,
college fund.
people put the camera up to their kids and they're like, "Yo, do a thing," and then right away the kids start going, "Hi, I'm this," and they start doing their own YouTube channel. It's crazy, but it's those kids that they're doing.
So is this like? I mean, how do you think that came about? Is that just the day and age
Internet,
we
what?
live? Like it's just everybody wants to be. Well, look at us. Right now, everybody wants to be on YouTube. Like,
I tried to tell people about the internet when I was 12, and nobody wanted to pay attention to me. And they were like, "You're nerdy. Shut up, fool. I don't need LimeWire."
I guess.
Like I was the plug,
was
right?
it Bear Share?
You had the plug, and now everybody's online. That's why LimeWire don't exist.
Right.
Y'all destroyed it by getting online with me.
I mean, wasn't yours.
Yes.
It wasn't yours to own in the
Mine.
first place. No.
Dibs.
it
I
wasn't.
called dibs on it. Like,
Yeah.
But you can't
Yeah.
invite them and then be
Like in,
mad
like,
that
98,
when
I
they
called
finally
dibs on
came, they were
Napster.
just late and you're pissed off about it.
Yeah.
And then LimeWire
Oh, yeah.
got taken away. You had to start paying.
No,
for it.
y'all ruined the internet by making it a big old thing, and now it's like where everybody lives.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, was going to be the natural progression. Have you seen that movie? What is it, Ready Player One? Do you not think that eventually
book
we
too.
can
Better book.
live to we can get to a certain place? And I've thought about this a lot too. I'm almost okay with the more digital society because it is going to be like if we're living and we're working online, we're taking up less resources, less planet resources that we have in order to conduct our daily affairs.
That's not true.
I mean, it might be. I mean, you talk about we don't have to drive to work anymore. We can
But
work.
I think there's
from
like a
where-
back end cost to a lot of this stuff that you have to think about of like how that information is stored and like the devices that are made and like the cost of all of those things and the metals and the different materials inside those devices are crazy corrosive to the environment and the way that they're taken out of the earth in countries that we pay barely anything to people in these dangerous
Them little kids don't get
conditions.
nothing.
Like there's
Do we
there's a
not-
back into like I still think that there's like a lot of blood on capitalism because a lot
not-
of this stuff will be driven through
It
capitalism.
will, of
Not
course.
just
I
that.
just don't know if you can just say it's going to be easier because it seems easier in front of you.
I know, of course, yeah, absolutely, and it's always it seems like we're going to deal with a haves versus have-nots kind of society and deal, where some more water for you. Where if we do imagine a new way of living for us and for enterprise, they are going to be the ones that get the first chunk of it. But at the same time, I mean, would we all be better off? We could use. I feel like we could get to the point where we're using recyclables and shit to kind of make up this new, or like all the things that's going to be corrosive. We can make. We got the people smart enough in this world to make things out of things that used to be something and make it anew. We have plenty of that.
And I
Yeah.
think we have the ability. I don't know if we have the willingness to.
It don't make no money.
Because
Recycling does not make any money.
Yeah.
That what drives it is the ideas of capitalism and stuff that you can push it that way. And unfortunately, the capitalism that we have now doesn't really restrict upon like forcing them to do stuff like that. And maybe it will someday, but I don't really see it.
Unless they could figure out how to melt down plastic and pull gasoline out of it, you're not making no money doing that.
Can we figure out how to be more conscious consumers and not spending money on these people that are continually wrecking the? There has to be. I'm not of the mindset that there's never anything we can do. I cannot stand that mindset. I always feel like, that's just people overthinking because we've been stuck in a certain way of our life for so long. But other than ourselves, what is actually stopping us from doing shit that makes change on a larger scale over decades to come? Other than just the mindset that we can't do it.
We live in.
Many things have been done past that mindset without us having to fall back into
Us being
the
who?
victim role.
Like just human beings?
Human beings in general. I don't want to singular.
Well, I think human
single
beings
anybody
are.
out.
Well, I think human beings are making more progress than, exponentially than we ever have before.
Yes. So what's to stop us from getting to?
I don't think it is. I don't think anything's stopping us. I think you're just being impatient.
No, but
you gotta let some of them
but-
old folk die off.
Yeah, but that was the sentiment a couple seconds or minutes ago, was that, you know, these things are going to be too hard to accomplish. You know, the things that make...
No. The sentiment earlier, I said no to you saying that it would be somehow more efficient for energy if everybody spent their time online. And online takes a lot of power. Everything takes a lot of power. Could you imagine if the entire country was logged into a virtual reality machine?
Sure.
How much power that would be?
Beyonce drops an album and shit goes like,
Well, right now,
imagine
for
that?
sure.
Yeah.
Yo, right now,
Yeah.
Facebook has data centers everywhere, and I remember hearing them that they were gonna start building this new data center in Utah. And actually, the homie Josh works there, and
Yeah.
he was telling me about it, and he said that it's football fields long
Yeah.
of servers.
I've seen those, right?
And that the AC, like the cooling unit in there, has to be like freezing, so everybody has to wear jackets.
Sure.
Everybody wears jackets, and you have to use like a little go-kart to drive to the other side of that shit when wherever you're going.
Sure.
Because it's so big. And that's just for Facebook. Those are pictures, a few videos, and people's text. Imagine replicating a world virtually to everyone.
Okay. I'm imagining it. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
With what power?
I get it, but there's also ways to fix the power that we have now. The power grids we know are outdated and useless.
Yeah, in the United States, there's a lot of places that don't even have power.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's
We got to get them power first.
And
or maybe
that's-
water first.
that
here
sounds
in the
like
United
jobs.
States. Like
For
clean
sure.
water, that'd be
Yeah,
tight too
true.
before they even get
power.
sweet VR boxes on their heads.
No doubt.
Maybe they could just imagine themselves drinking clean water.
Drinking water. And that would be...
They just see clean water.
it's a placebo effect. Like, we don't need to eat
There's a
or
little
drink
mister
anymore.
that kind of mist your face as you drink the water.
Yeah. Highly right. It would
Maybe
be-
tap water.
Maybe
like, well,
everybody just drinks Gatorade instead.
what was that movie? Idiocracy.
It has the stuff that plants crave.
Idiocracy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we baiting. We baiting.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, no, I think I don't know. It is hard to imagine the future. Especially like we all know that things are changing at a rapid rate. So it is hard to imagine a future much beyond unhealthy lives for a lot of us, because I think you guys have seen how treacherous the climate is getting, how treacherous pollution is getting. I would like to say again that there's things that we could do to kind of curb that. Have you guys
Who's
been?
we?
You're right, because it's hard to say that it's on a personal level.
And I think-
our carbon footprint is mighty small.
And our
compared to-
ability to change our actions and decisions in order to like change those are so minuscule of what it could change. Like, not that people shouldn't, because I think that's, if you tell too many people like, oh, don't do it just because if it's not going to be effective, then like, yeah, it's not going to be. But at the same time, I think it's in the interest of a lot of the people who are actually doing most of the damage to continue the storyline of saying like, just you recycle more, like you individually do more, and that's what's going to help. Drive less and carpool with somebody. Like all that whole narrative just supports them being able to
continue.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
So I don't know. Like on one level, yeah, of course, try your best to like be conscious of where your waste goes and things like that.
Yeah.
But also,
Because it does
it's
help.
not going to do too much compared to like putting crazy sanctions on these companies to make sure that they pay for the carbon that they're emitting.
I'm always a big proponent of lead by example, and like I say that it's not in the interest of like what big corporations are doing. We can, if we are to, in a sense, maybe we're never going to reach them, but if we are all to lead down that direction as a populace, if we can get all our friends together and take pacts to be like, look, we're all going to recycle together, and then hopefully people on the top will catch on. Obviously we live this top-down lifestyle. Everybody thinks it should come from the top down, but maybe we should start trying to make moves from the bottom up. You know what I mean? Maybe if we were to get together with our people and say, like, let's make the change on our level, even if it is only going to be a small, minute percentage of what brings change, let's try to be the leaders. could you foresee? I mean, I have a lot of hard-headed friends. I don't know if I could foresee all of them undertaking the initiative with me. You know what I mean?
You know, or like stopping eating meat or something like
Yeah.
that, which is people say has
I'm not stopping eating.
good or bad implications of where it goes with the environment.
But you're right. Like he's right because I've seriously
Recycling's harder than
considered.
stopping eating meat, right? Like you have to have a system in order
You gotta
to
like do
it.
extra shit for it.
Yeah.
But actually, as far as I understand it, don't quote me or anything, but as far as I understand it, Waste Management runs all of their trash through
Like a separator.
Yeah, a separator and I think that they have like a pretty high success rate as far as like recycling.
Okay, that's one state in the union.
Single stream recycling, I think, is what it's called, where you don't have to separate out any of the different pieces. Is what you're saying? It just all goes into one thing, and they separate it.
That's
I know Boulder does that.
Yeah,
Boulder
it
does single stream
takes
recycling.
a lot of the responsibility off of our shoulders.
Yeah,
Obviously.
Well, the problem is it's not really about the recycling too. It's what you do with the other trash.
yeah.
Right.
We're at a places like people think you just go dig another hole. Like you start digging holes and find out we dug a lot of holes already.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trash down there.
Yeah. No doubt. Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about they've excavated civilizations under the ground.
Yeah, and their trash is
50. Yeah,
versus
exactly.
this
And
trash,
their,
like-
and their trash, right.
Like
I
our
mean,
trash
we're-
though is gonna be pat.
We're
Like,
not
it
ever
lasts way too
going to
long.
be, we're not ever going to be able to completely reduce waste. That's just impossible. But yeah, I mean, to imagine that, if we are to go 100 years after this generation or this civilization is, or 1,000 years after this generation has gone and passed,
You can give us that long, huh?
and the
Goddamn.
new. Well, no, I'm
That's
saying
brave.
at this point we've been gone for 950 years, but 1,000 years from now, all the sediment's compiled on top of us, and the new human-like settlers come and start digging and find us. They're gonna find a mound of trash that's Mount Evans large before they actually get to Justin Romero where he's buried in the hole.
Hold up. First of all, I ain't in no trash boy.
We're all gonna be there.
Nah.
We're all gonna be there, right
no.
underneath the giant.
They're gonna find me, and then the
Wall-E-like
trash. I'm gonna stand on top of
mounds.
it.
Wall-E like trash mounds everywhere, and then us, the human civilization, buried right under the trash mounds because we just gotta get our wasteful lives together.
They're gonna excavate that shit, and they're gonna find all kinds of people under there, and then they're gonna find one body up top, and they're gonna be
Like,
like,
I told
man,
you so."
this one looks like he climbed to the top and then just laid down, went to sleep because there was nobody around.
He had a "I told you so" sign on. It's like,
Looks like they
He's
kicked this.
tattooed in his arm.
Looked like they kicked this asshole out.
yeah. He wasn't part of the society.
Everyone's down there. What's this dude doing up all
Yeah.
alone? He must have been kicked out with the "I told you so"
Be
sign
like,
on
we
his
don't
chest.
just get out of here. We know we fucked up. Get your
If you don't like it so much, just why don't you go up there and
Yeah,
fix it? Everybody living
exactly.
nice and
Hello,
cool because
Jimmy.
it's actually,
I'm just sitting up there by myself, all sad.
I need to ask how the burger is to be cooked.
How do you want your burger cooked?
Medium and French fries.
Please.
And corned beef hash. How would you like your eggs?
Scrambled. Make it easy.
And white wheat rice, sourdough for your toast.
Sourdough.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
man.
Jenny.
You're welcome. I looked at it and it looked so perfect. I didn't.
You didn't even bother?
Yeah.
Nah, that's okay. No worries. Yeah, where were we? So we were talking about pollution.
You're gonna put her on in the virtual reality world too?
Yeah.
You think that she's gonna take to it the way you're expecting everybody to run? How come we don't just? Let's ask her.
Learning curve for sure, and it's like you were talking about. There will be
I just don't. She doesn't look like the kind of person that'd be interested in that type of thing.
there will be a time where the people who aren't interested in that type of thing are no longer around to have a say so whether or not they should be interested.
I'll tell you
in that
that
type of
there's
thing.
always a section of a generation that is not interested in doing what everybody else is doing. So
But at the
while
same
you can get the
time-
but
main
at the same
populace to do
time, like
something.
You
10
can't
years ago,
stop
you
progress.
probably didn't think your grandma wanted an iPhone or
Right.
a cell phone.
Hold
at
up, I
all.
told all y'all that stuff.
My mom
But
has
I've
one.
been telling you forever.
All people love iPhones.
Right.
Like,
I know.
they
I've
love
been
them.
been trying to tell everybody forever. That's
So-
what my job is.
I hear ya for sure. So, but then the logic in that sentiment is it's definitely possible. You could definitely bring Jenny along in something like that if it provides
sure.
benefits in
But-
which it makes human lives easier.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is that there's going to be all I'm saying is there's going to be a section of people that just don't. There's going to be a whole flock of kids right now. Not a lot of them, but there's going to be a flock of them at the very least that choose not to have a cell phone because everybody else around is stuck on theirs.
Because they're trying to stay woke.
Sure, whatever.
Stay woke.
Whatever it is.
I hear you. Yeah, and
that's where punk comes from.
And we don't. Yeah, for
There's an entire
sure.
genre made after this.
Yeah,
Well, you think that's going away now?
Hip hop too. No, it's not, and it won't ever go away. But
Exactly.
if you still have a large majority of the pop, if you did get a large majority, so punk being what it is a shadow culture.
So what's punk in 100 years?
They'll still punk,
Steampunk,
but
that's what that
I mean,
is.
yeah, right, steampunk.
That was 100 years ago.
And it will. History
I thought
repeats
it was in the
itself.
future. I thought it was like I thought
It
steampunk was like
is.
apocalyptic, like future shit goes down and then like. And then it's like the punks of that. I don't really understand anything about steampunk.
Me either.
Or know anything about it beyond like a couple of images I think I've seen.
I have a deck
Right,
of cards
and I
that was
think that's what it
steampunk
is.
themed.
I think it is
Okay.
just like an image thing. I think it is just.
But
like
is it like
gears
based on
and
the
shit.
past or the future?
I think it's a little bit of both. Do you know about steampunk at all? You want to tell us about it?
It's like an imaginary Wild West type of scenario.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not based in any reality.
But
So it's
it is
just like
a
Wild West
So
with
like-
Will Smith and
Yeah.
that other old white man.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
for sure. What was his name?
Kevin Kline.
Kevin Kline. That's exactly what it
Kevin
was.
Kline?
Yeah. Do you remember that movie?
I do remember the movie. Didn't watch
Going
it.
straight to
Not to get involved in
it's
the
a
conversation,
yeah.
but I recorded a minute ago that $500,000 electric Aston Martin prototype drove by.
That and see and so that's obviously
Who's gonna pay
we're not.
$500,000 for an electric Aston Martin,
None-
with a 200-mile range.
None of the
Somebody
three
that's
of
got
us.
$500,000 to spare.
And even if I did
Or a couple
have,
$500,000.
Well,
Even if I did
they lease
have a
those, just so we're clear, they
$500,000.
lease those, so they're not paying $500,000. They're paying $750 a month because their credit score is freaking 890. But they're paying $750 a month.
right? I hear
They're
you.
not paying.
just
They're not paying
leasing
$1
it.
million.
Probably more than
But even then, right? Even then, like if I did have a $500,000 or I did have that kind of money to spend, I would buy a regular old electric car. You know what I mean? Or give me a Chevy Volt, something that has good mileage that you don't have to spend $500,000 to do.
Would you get a Nissan Leaf though?
I would at this point. I'm definitely. I mean, my heart. If I'm being honest, I want a Tesla. Eventually, I do want to get me a Tesla because at this point, for affordability and where we're at in the marketplace, that's something a lot of us can afford. And if you get to that point, me personally, I feel like I've been driving SUV for a long time, and my other car is a 4-wheel drive turbo hatchback. So I'm not really being efficient with my own, like what I'm trying to portray as far as what I'm doing with my life. I have no judgment on anybody else and what they want to do. Obviously, I've obtained these cars because I like these cars, and I'm willing to do, what I have to do to get back and forth from work. But I am conscious of it. At some point, I do want to change the small things I could do with my carbon footprint. So I do want a Tesla. So I want to spend $500,000 on it. I'd get myself to a point where I could get a used one at $50,000 and be happy driving that.
They're actually not that expensive.
I mean,
The sedan's like 30.
yeah.
They start 33. I think the E class or I don't know, is it E class?
I haven't,
whatever.
yeah.
The
I haven't-
economy class, huh?
I haven't been keeping up on them like to the T. I know when they first came out, they were all about 50,000.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea to wait for Teslas though.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've heard like people have not a lot of trouble, but they just don't. They still are struggling with production and keeping up with demand, and so
Right.
if one of yours breaks, it can sometimes be a wait
Yeah.
to get them fixed. And I just they also just need more models, and
Yeah.
I think their production needs to again increase, and they'll get better over the years. But yeah, I think picking up a used one in a couple of years after I'm done with my next vehicle, we'll see where the Tesla market is at that point.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I don't think that's too late. I think that's probably right around the.
Well, and hopefully a lot of in the next couple of years, we'll see more automakers
Also.
pushing to push EV cars.
What was it? Europe actually, by the year 2030, wants to go to producing only electric vehicles.
But what companies produce in Europe? Or
Alfa,
not Europe,
like,
but
yeah.
I guess so. It's like Alfa
like
Romeo,
Alfa
VW.
Romeo, right.
That's not that many.
Enough of the market that it would make a difference to challenge other markets to do the same. I think it sparked a little bit of that in all markets. Because if you see American cars are a lot going now, they're more hybrid. America's probably going to be the last one because we got so many people, like we were talking about capitalism, with their hands in the vehicle marketplace that are their interests rely on selling oil. So that might be the last of the marketplaces to go electric. But they are still, most American cars are going hybrid at least.
I mean, sure, but they got they don't even have environmental codes in those places that drill the oil. So you can't say that, like, we'll be last. But Saudi Arabia's last.
Sure. But what cars are made in Saudi Arabia?
I don't know, but they've got all of them at Dubai.
Yeah, but
All of them. Every car made.
Yeah, but the population isn't enough to make a difference, right? If they all had
I mean,
had
they
a
have a big
Lamborghini.
I don't know. They have
Dubai's not producing any cars. They're just
using
that's where a lot of
them, and
cars go. So they might put
on. They don't have no carburetors. They don't have anything.
Yeah.
There's no restrictions. Them boys fly down highways at like 200 miles an hour in Lamborghinis and shit. Boy, you never go on YouTube? You guys don't spend no time on the good side of YouTube.
I don't spend much time on the YouTubes.
Get on them YouTubes, boy.
For what? Like, what's the joy in watching somebody else drive?
It's not about joy. It's about information. You know what I'm saying? You don't watch the news because you enjoy it. That shit's trash, man.
That's not true. I love it. I'm just kidding. I don't even watch the news anymore.
That's why, 'cause it's trash.
It is trash.
I want to know what's going on. I got to be informed. You know what I'm saying?
you.
I'm trying to be an informed citizen. I'm trying to vote.
So
you're trying to inform yourself about the small sect of the population of Dubai and their driving habits in the desert?
I think you guys think it's a small sect, and you'd be surprised how many of those people there are.
I would love. I mean, I want to travel the world, which means Dubai is included. I want to see it all. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to go to Dubai.
That's how I want to learn it. I don't want to learn it on YouTube. I want to go to Dubai and see a lot.
Well, you got to see it on YouTube first.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying?
See right here, third eye shit. Just keep picturing it over and over again.
All right.
Eventually, I'm gonna be at Dubai. Like, told you so. And then I'm gonna
well, about told you so. I'll be like, nice job.
Thank you.
You're doing great.
Keep it up. Yeah.
Get out there and be somebody.
Yeah. If you wanna be somebody, if you wanna go somewhere. Just me on that one?
Yeah, I guess so.
Wake up and pay.
Speaking of being woke, I don't think that women are allowed to drive in Dubai.
In Dubai?
How's that? Yeah, how's that make
I
you
mean,
feel?
as an Arab.
Why do you say that?
It's an Arab country, right?
Because Saudi Arabia is under Arab law.
Dubai isn't in Saudi Arabia, first of all.
It's right there in the Emirates United, whatever they call it, which is like it's right next to each other. It's
They
like
can drive
DC
in
and
Dubai.
Baltimore.
There you
Okay,
go.
it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
We got the
Saudi
confirmation
Arabia.
they can actually drive
In Dubai?
In
All right,
The United Arab Emirates.
they can. All right, see. Well, I don't know about those countries. Sorry, they're on the other side of the planet. I'm trying to figure out our own country.
You didn't
and we
watch
got
a
states and
YouTube
shit.
video about it?
No, hell no. I just saw a YouTube video of the dudes flying all the time. They don't
You
know
ever
chicks
tried
do
to
that.
look at a fucking map, though?
I did look at a map the other day, man. I spent so much time in like Sudan and like that whole area.
Oh, yeah.
Like all zoomed in. I'm like going in on Google Street
Google Maps?
View and no, I was going
Google Street
I was like, Dad, they got a Pizza Hut, and I kept going. Look, Subway, and I went to like I checked the reviews on Subway.
No,
and
that's
it's just a bunch of people good
Subways
food.
in Dubai, too.
Huh?
There's Subways in Dubai,
Wait,
too.
did
they
you
got
do that
Subway
in
everywhere
Dubai?
over there, boy.
I should do that. That sounds
There's
like fun.
some
Walk the streets of
You do
Dubai.
That kind
on-
of sounds like
on
fun.
Google.
Oh, it's hard, and you'll learn quick, dude. That there are some companies and some of these like corporations that you feel like are like hella American,
Yeah.
that are literally worldwide.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, no,
Pizza Hut,
right.
Subway, KFC,
Yeah.
McDonald's,
Starbucks.
and Starbucks for sure. And there's one other one you wouldn't expect, like an ice cream shop or something.
TCBY.
It might be TCBY.
Baskin Robbins,
No, it might be
something like
TCBY. Something weird. And
Yeah.
they're like everywhere, dude.
So is that-
freaking everywhere.
Is that the new?
Doesn't TCBY stand for something?
Nope.
I think it does.
I think it's yogurt. At the end.
Yeah, for sure. But then
think
it's like
the country's best
TCBY.
yogurt.
Oh, look, the country's
that's it.
best yogurt.
Okay.
They have an international presence.
Is
I don't know.
that the?
It might be.
It's a bad name to like
You
go
said
international.
TCBY. I just ran with it.
Sure.
Well, maybe not. Maybe their yogurt is the shit. Like Nepal
So
or something.
does that not look like the new colonization?
What?
is corporatism, like companies like that showing
Yeah,
up.
that's what I was just
in-
saying about YouTube, the YouTube channels and stuff. I made it a joke, but yeah, that's what's happening online.
Yeah.
That's what's happening in the world. That's what's... and it can happen in the world because of online. Sorry for not clarifying that part.
Okay.
That those corporations can have such a big influence around the world because everybody watches all the entertainment online. People are becoming to be online in a lot
like
of places
the
in the world.
advertising and shit.
Well, no, I think the first things they find are all American.
Yeah.
There's a lot of content that gets, especially good media, especially all the high production shit. There's a lot of stuff that goes, is portrayed in the media everywhere else.
Yeah.
So stuff like cheeseburgers
Yeah.
or Taco Bell, like those things become like a,
welcome.
oh look, that's what like, and not like Americans, but that's like what the person here does. You know what I mean? Like that's, I can go there and do that too.
Yeah.
It's like Pizza Hut, Subway, boy. Those are the big ones, and KFC. Those are the big ones that you don't expect to see everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, no, I mean that makes
Everywhere.
That does. I mean, I've heard that and I've seen that in.
Maybe this little town with all dirt roads,
And the
and there's like a
fucking-
college somewhere, and some weird college you never even heard of. You look at it, and it looks like an elementary school. And you drive up through, and there's one restaurant, and it's Subway
Right.
or Pizza Hut, and then Pizza Hut will serve cheeseburgers and shit. It's crazy.
Subway, I can see how Subway can get anywhere because like their franchise system just is like, buy a Subway, put it wherever you want, and then they just collect their money from it. And if it fails, Subway's like, great, we have literally like 1 billion around the world, so it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah,
your
for
loss
sure.
because anybody can come and figure out how to buy themselves a Subway
Into a
franchise, put it
franchise,
wherever
right.
they want. And so Subways are literally everywhere because anybody can kind of start them up with like 30 G's or something. I don't think it's that much money to get
I
a
think
Subway
it's
franchise.
the same with like McDonald's and shit, right? I seen
Is
that.
McDonald's that easy? I heard it was a little harder with Mickey.
I seen that movie with
Probably not internationally.
with Michael
maybe.
Keaton. Yeah, I seen that movie with Michael Keaton about
Hell yeah.
about McDonald's, and that's exactly what he was doing from coast to coast was finding franchisees to buy in, and sooner or later. And I'm wondering, like, what people, when you went to all these other markets and foreign places, were like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's poison our populace as well with your nasty food. And,
that point,
like,
You
I
think it's
think-
poison? No, I think that's
a lot of
an
it is-
overused statement that's not
Sure.
very real.
Okay.
A lot of people eat Subway for you to say that it's poison.
No, but as far as like the factories that are put together in order to mass produce this stuff that is being sold at places like
Okay.
McDonald's and Subway, those places are not.
They're inhumane at the very least.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, maybe I do use poison in a little derogatory sense, but not to take away the fact that people are eating food. Is that Greek salad?
Yes,
that
it
looks
is.
That looks nice.
delicious.
All right, are you guys okay for now?
We
Everything's good?
are absolutely beautiful, Jenny. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So the foods here.
That looked like what I'd give my horse.
So you
bet
have
it enjoys it.
you
I
have
you're eating good tonight, boy.
you have a horse. That's incredible.
Hell yeah, I got a horse.
All right, so we got the food now. As per usual, what we're gonna do about this time of the talk is we're gonna give a dedication for the meal, just kind of saying grace. I'll start as per the usual. Today, it was on my mind a lot lately. My father, being a construction worker, used to work in tight crawl spaces and buildings a lot. I want to give love to the people that are out there putting hard work together to build the homes that you live in, to take care of the streets that you drive on, to fix the power lines and the water companies. So this is to all those people that are putting in that extra extensive labor to make sure our lives are comfortable. This meal is for you guys. Thank you.
Oh, I'm next.
Yeah.
Around.
Well, I'm not ready.
I'll make this one easy. Then I just want to dedicate this one just directly to my parents.
Nice.
They've just been there for me over the last couple of days when I needed them, and shout out to them. And just a quick shout out also to Rolling Stone magazine for doing some great journalism recently. Just finally somebody putting out some good stuff.
Nice. You have to share that with me. I want to hear what that looks like. I want to see what that looks
right
like.
on.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we sound kind of privileged. So this is to motherfuckers without food.
Okay. Cheers to that. I appreciate that too. Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Cheers, gentlemen. Let's raise our glass to everybody we dedicated to. Get some of this in our system. So let's talk about that. Let's go and eat and start eating. that is definitely something that's been on my mind.
What, being privileged?
But is this yours or mine?
That's your
what?
Greek salad dressing, I believe, or maybe it's a soup that goes along with it. I don't know. I've never been to Greece.
To whatever extent we are privileged to wake up every morning and pursue the life that we wish to pursue, we are privileged, sure. But as far as like what I was thinking was when you said the people that don't have food, we just lift the camping ban now. And I work in a side of town where, the homeless are kind of everywhere. I've been kind of like listening to the attitudes of people and their feelings and their reflections on homelessness and the lifting of this camping ban, and it's hard to take because a lot of them are really upset by it. It's not like we improve the homeless situation by lifting the camping ban on them. Why are we taking still a derogatory attitude towards these people in their lives just because they can now not get kicked out of?
They actually can't.
Yeah,
They're still enforcing it. No.
What do you mean?
As of like Monday.
No, what do you mean? They went back to it?
Yeah, the city of Denver says they're enforcing it.
Really? I thought they ruled it unconstitutional.
It's
Rat infestation is what they called it for. Kicked everybody out anyway.
But that's a different thing. That's something that'll still. I did see that.
They closed that little park.
You think that's not propaganda? That's not propaganda?
Well,
this rat infestation? You think there was actually a rat infestation? And
No.
That's not the only spot.
no, and I believe so. Again, just only the way that I understand it. They just found a way around it.
Per the usual. I don't think that's still. I don't.
Hold on, you gotta
is,
update. Give me the quick and
I don't
short
know.
of
I have
this.
no idea. I didn't
What
read into it
happened?
that far. I just saw.
Shut down a park.
I just saw that the city of Denver announced on I think it was Monday that they were, regardless of what anybody said, they were enforcing the camping ban. And that they couldn't not enforce it. There was too many complaints. There was too many. There was like an uproar from the people who have money now that live in 5 Points. That's not 5 Points no more. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, I mean, but uproar all you want. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, why is there an uproar? Like,
because then white people don't want minorities running around these streets. What?
I get it, but is that sensible for us? Like, it's just,
But it is
disregard.
I was thinking about this morning. I think it is sensible for them because I don't know, they're scared. I think they're afraid of those people for one reason or another. And there are some points where, like, if I was trying to walk my kid home from school, and there were, homeless people or people that are just harassing you for one reason or another, most of them are probably struggling.
It does make you uncomfortable.
But I could see how, like, people would be worried. I think the reason why it's still a problem is because of the propaganda that was pushed during the election of, or not the election, for the voting of that bill with the camping ban.
Yeah.
The stuff that they were saying, like, you're gonna have people sleeping in your front yard, and like, like they spent like something over $1 million in adversity to that campaign.
But in reality, what you ended up getting is because the people that are struggling tend to have a higher chance of beating or resolving those struggles through drugs. Mm-hmm. And one of the cheapest drugs you can get is heroin.
Things that make you aggressive.
And so, just because of the way the dynamics work, we're not talking stuff about anybody, and I'm not over here blaming anybody for their own conditions here. But the fact of the matter is that when they stopped enforcing the camping ban, there are particular areas where everybody congregated, and in those areas, you end up with shit and needles. And I don't mean that like I'm not over here talking stuff. I'm just being, and it's like, oh, that's propaganda. But I'm not saying that happens everywhere. That's not on every single corner. That's even probably not a super hard problem to actually solve if we put our minds together on it. But in reality, all I'm saying is that to say like that it's just propaganda, it's like, well, no, you know what? I have a friend on Facebook. I don't really like this guy, but he's on Facebook and he lives across the street from one of these things, and he's always posting about it.
Mm-hmm. I have similar similar thing. Multiple people on my Facebook.
Yeah, and they're
feed
always posting about
They
it.
got big problems.
But
with
I'm
these
talking.
people.
But I'm talking about like photos, and at first I was really annoyed
Rants.
by it, like by the way that they're doing. But you know, I started realizing like, I don't agree with you, but I see how you understand that by where you live.
I see that perspective.
I can understand why you feel that way. So and I'm pretty sure it was all those people that were like, because they're the ones who got
there
it
are
changed in
some
the first
people
place.
who, I think there are, and I don't know. I think that those frustrations.
A camping ban isn't the answer, just so we're clear. But
Agreed.
Right.
A camping ban, or really like removing a camping ban, isn't the answer, because I think all of them just kind of dance around the issue of really it's an issue of healthcare and treatment for these people, that they need to have a place to go and get some help and be safe. And like housing is also an issue, huge issue in Denver.
Huge issue, right?
And these are the problems that need to be focused on and fixed, not, just saying we can and can't in these certain places around town. Like, I think
how do you think that you would try to attack that problem?
I don't write policy.
But and I've thought about that too. Is like because we are, as good as we are at thinking up shit, we are short on answers for a lot of these problems that we have, and a lot of them seems like they could be, like you said, easy problems to fix. We get help for people. We open more missions for people to stay at. We allot a territory, because a lot of them, the survival hinges on being in the area they are. So they are going to congregate downtown because that's where the population is. That's where they are going to survive the easiest. That's every city. When you want to find the homeless people, you got to go to the downtown area because that's the most populated portion of the city. So do we start finding places? I mean, obviously we can't because these developers in Denver are just buying up every place. But we have to find a place that they can be and they can live. Obviously the homeless life is not peaceful, but I wish them peace. I wish them a place in which they can find peace. The people that are out, dealing drugs. Maybe you don't to these people anymore because it's morally, it feels wrong to continue selling drugs to the people on the streets because they are a problem to the rest of the populace that live in that area, that work hard and pay a lot of money to
Wait, are you
live
suggesting
in that
that drug dealers stop selling drugs?
Let's find the people that are actually.
That's your answer.
We're
gonna holler at all the drug dealers and be like, hey,
let's
we're gonna have a drug dealer
moralize.
conference.
Let's
Thanks for coming, everybody. We really appreciate.
First, we unionize the drug
We really
dealers.
appreciate seeing you guys here.
We use the unionization of the drug dealers of Denver to then, form a
Expand.
pact between them and the homeless people to say we will no longer sell drugs to the fiends.
You will have a homeless outrage.
You need to go.
Then the homeless union comes after you.
Yeah, we know we can start one of those. That's basically we got the camping ban lifted. Obviously that's not going to work. I would think morally, if I were to undertake a enterprises such as that, I couldn't see myself just continually killing somebody. This is what it boils down to.
But obviously there are people that do that.
Obviously, yeah, it's not going anywhere. The drug trade ain't going anywhere.
But it's a personality type. This is the same type of people that, get power, run governments, and then do funny stuff. Get power in corporations and do funny stuff. Have, just a personality type. It's not like those people are going away or some kind of thing. That's a type of human that we're always going to have to deal with. Right now, in this society, they've learned to be the top of the food chain.
Right.
And if you look at history, they've always been the top of the food chain. So what do we do about that, right? Well, let's preach peace and stuff like that. Oh, why can't we just be? Because there's some people that don't feel like that.
Be friends. Yeah.
And you can't discount those people.
No, yeah, for sure. You're absolutely right, and that's been a hard lesson for me too. Is that why can't everybody just think as peaceful as I can, and everything would be great? Obviously, I've had to learn that lesson the hard way. It's just not. There's too many things going on, and the balance in one's life I've seen over and over. And once it gets skewed to one side of the spectrum or the other, it kind of stays on that side of the spectrum until some real hard, deep down soul searching goes into play.
You think it's soul searching, or you think it's just perspective?
I think the two are one and the same. I think that once you go soul searching, your perspective changes. I think once you find a reason to go soul searching and you want to start changing your perspective, then they are one and the same.
I don't know, dude. I think one of the easiest ways to make somebody change perspective is literally just inviting them to see the other side, and them knowing ahead of time what they're doing. So if you try to hit somebody with some, here's the other side of something, they're automatically going to disagree. But if they go in knowing, like, I'm going to go meet this person who I would normally not like, but I'm going to give it a try because blank told me to, that is a very effective way of making somebody change perspective. And there's no soul searching there. All it is just they were naive before. They thought those people were, those blanks, whoever they think in their mind is those people, are always, whatever, and enter the stereotype, right? But in reality, when they find out that that's not the truth, then they're open to finding and meeting new people, and all of a sudden they have a life-altering experience.
And why can't that be soul searching? Why can't that be?
Because soul searching implies that you're going to do it by yourself. It's your soul. Somebody else can't search your soul. Unless like Shang Tsung. You talking about Shang Tsung?
Finish him. No, I think that in order to get to the point where you're even comfortable with approaching the other, you have to do some soul searching. Because you're at that point, your soul is intertwined in a certain mode of thinking. So if you were never to try to break out of that mold, then you're just stuck in the same way. I think it takes some soul searching to say, why not? Why not give myself a chance to be and understand the other, since I've lived this way the whole time?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's always it. So, like, you know what? Il7 did a talk at.
Shout out Michael.
Shout out Il7. Did a talk at
TED.
The TED Talk, the TEDx talk here, and I saw him there, and his talk was entirely about this session he put together between some kids in the neighborhood and the cops in the neighborhood. Sure. I'm gonna bet that those cops didn't do any soul searching. They agreed because they thought it was part of it looks good. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, this and that, and all, whatever. Yeah. And his point was that once they saw each other, the kids walked in hating police. The police walked in thinking a bunch of kids were a bunch of thugs and nobodies. And within an hour, none of them agreed about anything. They all did a lot of arguing, but like they both started to understand different sides. And when he asked them later on about it, they all had changed their opinions about each other.
I like that.
Well, that's how you do it. So you can't do that to somebody else, like, without, you can't do that remotely. You can't remotely make somebody understand a perspective. And I'll tell you, even if they don't see it, then all the sitting inside and soul searching they do is never going to do anything, because their soul does not even have that as a possibility. You know what I mean?
I mean, who says the soul needs to be aware?
Shout out Il7.
Shout out Il7 for sure, my bro. Who said you need to be aware of that situation actually happening? Like, you agreed to do it, and maybe you disagreed because it didn't look good for community efforts. But then, when you actually came together, the moment between that meeting and the time Michael went back, Il7 went back to talk to these people, to talk to everybody about what they had learned, that is hence where
I think he did at the beginning and end.
The soul searching.
Like 45 minutes or an hour or two.
But then,
I might be missing the story.
There should be more. I think there's still a little bit of. What would you say?
At first I was in agreement with you, Luke, where I was like, they're kind of one and the same. But I think what you're saying there at the end, that I think Justin's experience, the soul searching is going to have to happen afterward. Because I think once your perspective is at least open, it doesn't have to change at that point. It has to be open. Like, I think you're at least your mind is open to something where you're almost forced to see someone else's perspective in that case, where you come into a meeting and you have your own expectations, right? Like, I have my own expectations to go meet a cop. I definitely have some things going on in my head about that. And I've met some cops, and I've had completely different experiences with different cops, and and my perspective changes every time. I think that real soul searching, comes in where I think you start asking yourself, well, like, why was I thinking that way, or am I thinking the right way? And I think that's the question. When you can get somebody to, like, turn that corner of like, am I sure on this?
Right.
That's where that soul search, because that's the question that turns the soul searching on,
Right.
and like then it starts to look backward a little bit and be like, well, why do I feel like this about black people? Like when I've always had that same reaction to them walking down the street next to me or something like that, you know? And so they're not one and the same, but they do go hand in hand, I guess. Like I think for that experience to really be effective, because
You have to do
those kids
soul-searching.
could continue to be like jerks, and those cops could continue to be pigs, and like
Well, I think the point was neither of them were, and they both went in there assuming that the other person was going to be a jerk,
yeah.
and they all went in there and found out, oh, these are just kids, and oh, you know what, these are just some dudes.
These are people. Like one thing I have to remind myself too is that
They're
like
just people.
most of the cops that we see and interact with are just people.
Well, I'll tell you, in the hood though, they're seen as scary. A lot of you don't really see them in a positive light all the time. When they're in the hood, I'm talking about in the hood, when you're there,
I know what you're talking
and the
about.
cops pull up, it's usually not a good thing that's going on.
That's
Cops don't show up when
that's
it's like when
habit,
something as
right.
good is going on.
Well, and I think
so you
it's
have like this sense of
purposeful, the way
authority
that,
like that,
in those,
but you forget
they
they're just
push
dudes.
their authority in those places. Like where I was in Gainesville, that happened a lot. Like when the cops did come around, it is because there was a problem going on, or because they wanted to go like harass some kids. Not like harass them in any kind of physical ways or anything, but just like if they saw a bunch of kids sitting around, or
They
got
would
a
have
call
to-
a bunch of kids sitting around, and it didn't matter where, but because it was a bunch of young black kids in the South, and people don't like that sitting around, like they're gonna come by, and these kids might not be doing anything wrong, but they're scared because I know they all had experiences or might
they've
have some
seen
kind of
it,
illegal
yes,
thing on them,
right.
whatever it might be. And so of course they're scared, and then the cops posture as well out there.
Yeah.
And not all of them, because there were cops, like if you guys remember a couple years ago, that video of some cops playing basketball, and then Shaq went out there and played basketball with them
right,
kids.
right.
That was in Gainesville where I worked.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, not the same high school kids that I worked with, but we were out there, and so there are good cops out there, but I also was with a cop that came to a huge situation that happened to fight at the school. A bunch of cops came because it was pretty intense.
Pretty brutal.
And one that was, I was trying to get a student back up into class. He's like yelling at him. He's got his dog, like the German Shepherd, like barking at him, yelling, like telling him like, you need to go faster. He's walking to class, but he was like telling him to run, and he wouldn't run.
Yeah.
And then I guess that cop went up there and threw him around the classroom.
Wow.
After I went to my classroom. So there are good and bad
Yeah.
cops out there, but
For sure. All because he felt disrespected or slighted in some
or that he
sort of
felt
way.
that he had the power.
He
Or
did.
maybe he's
Yeah.
just an asshole.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is like, it is obviously on an individual basis. It is not. We do not blanket. I have a lot of respect for law enforcement and for the ones that do it right. Just like in every other facet of society, I have respect for the people that are doing it the right way. Obviously, there's bad seeds, like we talked about a little bit earlier. It's not the whole thing that's a problem. It's certain factions or certain people in those things that make it look as bad as we perceive it to be. And I think that's great. I also went to a TED event this year, and one of the ladies that I watched, I forget her name, but she was talking about unlikely allies. Is that in order to get through a lot of these problems that we have, we're going to need unlikely allies, which means in order for like Black Lives Matters to succeed, you're going to need like white people to help be involved and be part of the face.
Juggalos.
You're going to need whoever, you know what I mean, or somebody that doesn't look like Black Lives Matter, or in order to get the cops and their thin blue line thing situated, you're going to need people on the opposite side that are willing to say, you are also our brothers, and we want you to take care of our community in the protect and serve kind of way, more so. In this strong arming way that you are currently used to. I mean, we're going to have unlikely allies.
You can't. That's not gonna work. You can't tell somebody right away that, like, accuse them of strong arming people, because then again, you could be talking to the dude who
strong arms.
who let me off not too long ago. I never been let off a ticket. Some boy let me off the other
That's
day.
what I'm saying. I'm not.
Oh yeah, you were
talking-
there.
I was there. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking
He pulled
about.
up on us quick, boy.
He sure did.
He rolled up on us and he came up. He's like, how fast you're going? You got to slow down, bro. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, my bad. I was just trying to, you know what I mean?
We just
Hit
missed
that
the light.
real
We just
quick.
hit the light.
You know what I'm saying? I was just trying to make it through. He's like, I know what you were doing. He's like, slow down, blah. You're not gonna get a ticket. He said that right away. But I think it was just because he just started. If he had to write a ticket, he had to sit there and write all kinds of
the
shit
first
on
thing
it.
in the
It'd be his first
morning.
thing. He got to pull up his computer. He hasn't even logged in yet.
Yeah. Whatever the case is, I mean, again,
I don't
there's.
give a fuck why you let me go. He let me go.
He let you
And
go.
imagine telling that dude 30 seconds later that the way you're acting out here to us minorities is, but it's like, that fool would be like, fool, I'd literally just let somebody off.
I know,
Shut up.
but like that's the justification, and obviously we're not talking about that guy.
I'm just being devil's advocate, my
We're
bad.
talking about the guy that pulls the guy out of the car because he's going 50 and he walks up to the car and feels threatened.
Yeah,
we're
there's
talking
plenty of
about
them.
that guy. Yeah, we're talking about that guy.
But you think that it's you think it's the cops, like becoming a cop makes them that way, or do you think that particular position just attracts those type of people?
Both.
Yes.
Because I think not all people going into that position will then become that, like, those bad people. So I don't think it makes everyone, but I do think it takes certain personality types in, whether they're like that or not, and can turn them into that by way of just like wanting to be included into something, wanting to feel like you're a part of something. And I think the brotherhood of police attract a lot of people like that because they do have that brotherhood. And I think there's a next tier level of, like, I'm sure that there's like, because those cops still have jobs, right? So they must have some friends that aren't willing to snitch on them, you know?
Yeah, but you think that it's always malicious, or you think that they're just scared?
I think
there's
they
absolutely
are.
times when they're scared.
But again,
They have a scary
there has
job,
to
but-
be times of both, and
I
we
think
have to
they're-
do. If that's the case, then we have to do a better job at training our police officers to not be scared. To not,
that.
I mean, because you are the one with the most protection on. Between you and that person that you're pulling over, that you're having an altercation with, more than likely you're going to survive that altercation 9.5 times out of 10, and that other person is not.
Yeah.
You're more prepared for that situation than that person will ever be. What are you so afraid of? I think.
Being shot.
Yeah, they are. I get it, and I get that they're afraid.
Fools do get shot. It's not like it's not like it's just made up on Fox News. They do get shot
hear you,
sometimes.
absolutely, and
I'd be mad, make me nervous.
To the police officers that have given their lives out there, rest in peace. Thank you for your service. We do truly appreciate it. And you know, for the ones who
do the shooting,
and want, you know, or even the ones who feel like they can be the lead of change. I mean, we need you guys to step up more and more because, you know, obviously we see the way things are, and we know that you know, we can make some changes.
Sure, but what if they don't see it that way?
Well, we need the ones that do.
So then, what do we do?
We need the ones that
They ain't
do.
listening. 'Cause it ain't gonna work.
Well, I keep hearing a lot about not all cops.
Right.
So there has to be some. That
Well,
are
not
on
all
our
people
side,
anything.
too.
I always that's the way my brain
But
thinks.
that's a real fancy, or not fancy, real common thing you hear from people like Thin Blue Line
That's because it's a
people.
good argument, and it's hard. It's hard to like. What else?
It's
like,
but here's not my argument, but what I would expect is if not all cops are bad, that means that some cops are good.
Yeah.
sure.
But also in that statement admits that there are bad cops in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there are.
But
there's
if
bad
you
everything.
say
though.
you're a good cop and not one of the bad
There's bad
cops,
doctors.
but you are willing to allow the bad cops to stay as cops.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
You
You're
then
part of the
are
problem.
then the bad cops, and I feel the same way for any kind of service like that. Teachers,
Yeah.
police.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the two main ones that I think of when I think of like big public services, because like if you're complacent with them being bad cops and just saying like and I know that there's lots of stuff in there that I don't understand because I'm not a cop and all this stuff, I get it, but I just don't think you can disagree with the argument of complacency is just as bad now that we know about it.
But see, every time, I think that's a misconception you have. I don't think people are talking about complacency. When it comes to what, like, if I say that, what about this? I'm not talking. That's not code for let's just be complacent about it. I'm literally asking you a question because that's a real issue, and if you can't solve that, then none of these other things matter. Because there's going to be those people that fight back, and those are the ones who support cops and the cops themselves, right? So if the cops themselves don't understand something, like about if their perspective is wrong, right? Trying to teach them to be better or expect them to want to change when what they're doing is already right in their own mind.
Yeah.
Right? We have a perspective.
We already acknowledge bad cops because in the statement, not all cops, it acknowledges that both exist, and they're the ones acknowledging both exist. So they have to know that there are people there doing bad things.
Their argument to that is there's bad people in every position.
Yeah.
There's just bad people out there. So what can you do about that?
You try and make them onto your side of being the good cop, or
try to
you get
make them
fired.
anything, man. I don't know if you ever met some people in the hood that are just wild.
Yeah.
And you just either got to be cool with the way they are being wild, or you just don't talk to them.
For sure.
Right, but that's
Right,
the
there's
hood,
no
though.
changing.
This is a profession.
No,
This
these
is a
are people.
profession.
These are people. I'm talking about the hood because I'm
Right.
from the hood.
But
That's
have
the
you
people
ever
that I
met a
know.
racist
I'll tell you, when
that,
I see those people, they just look like people in the hood who weren't in the hood. But it's the same personality. They just had more money.
I feel you. But this, in my experience as a teacher, I've had to deal with teachers that are racist. And it's not like
I hear
these
that.
people are out here calling kids the N-word.
But-
Like, he's not like an abrupt racist, even towards kids, but conversation he has with me. So, I mean, you have to make a choice then as myself. Like, am I a good teacher who wants to stand up against this and have a conversation with him, which is
Right.
what ended up happening.
Yeah.
But and sometimes people aren't receptive to your conversations. That's my first route. And then at that point, if he wouldn't have been receptive, I would have went above him and been like, look, this is what's going on, and he's a racist teacher, and he's not willing to change it.
And it's great. I agree with that. Is that we need more people in those instances who are of right mind to make a sound effort in trying to have that conversation with somebody in this day and time. Like, this is definitely something that we need to put in the past. And the good people need to step up. They need to say something, because a lot of times we bite
We just heard what happens when good people step up. So if that's not the answer, then what do we do?
We bite our tongue. I don't think it matters. I think we can no longer bite our tongue in instances in which we're provided an opportunity to step up for justice. We have to take that time. I hate to cut it here because we've been having a great conversation, but work is creeping upon me, and we are now an hour and 8 minutes in, my friends.
Is that right?
Yeah, I do have to rush off to work, but thank you guys very much for joining me on this conversation. This has been fantastic. Hopefully we can continue the conversation. I'll get you guys on again. We'll continue this. This is a fantastic conversation. But comment down below. Obviously, we covered a lot of things today. This was a fantastic conversation. Episode 2, Thawt for Food, is in the books. One more time, give it up for Justin Romero.
Thanks, y'all.
Bicycle Satellite. Steve Lisio doing his real estate thing. And the Lone Rangers versus Tonto podcast, I think, is coming soon. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate y'all.
For sure.
Peace.
Thanks for having us. Man.
Right on.
Thank you.
Right on.
Yeah, no doubt. Peace. Lovely.